Hi everyone, it's Miss Naima again. So welcome back to another video for your class key text this term. And as you know, we have started on our new chapter book, is The Secret Diary of Jane Penny. So let's read together again. And we are on page 13 and day 3 of Jane Penny's diary. So today I traveled to the edge of town by omnibus. And as you can see, there is a little number 9 next to omnibus. Let's have a read together what omnibus means. So an omnibus is a horse-drawn bus with an open air or roofless air upper deck. I've never been on one before because they're much more expensive than traveling third class by train. And number 10. So not only were the trains offering first, second, and third class carriages, but also special, even cheaper trains for labourers called workmen's trains, bringing them in and out of town. Everyone on board seemed better types than me, clerks and the like, but I looked smart enough not to be thrown off. So there are two more numbers here, number 11 and number 12. So let's read what number 11 means. It was common for the poor and working class to be told or to think that those in the middle and upper classes were somehow better than them. Victorian Britain was a class-matched society where people were expected to know their place. In other words, look up to those in higher classes. And number 12, what does a clerk mean? Clerk is office workers who kept accounts, records, etc., were members of the ever-growing middle classes. Okay, they'd never let no labourer aboard, but then again, the omnibuses don't start running till 8 o'clock in the morning, long after they've made their way to work. I'd have liked to climb up to the top deck and sat on one of them garden seats. What's a garden seat? Let's have a look. A garden seat is a seat for two people side by side, usually made of slatted wood so it would dry more quickly after rain. So as you can see, this is one of the garden seats where the chauffeur or the person riding the omnibus is sitting, and this is another one, so three of them are side by side next to each other. I've heard talk of, but the conductor says that no ladies, and he looked at me in such a way to say, I know you're a female, but hardly a lady, can sit up top. Me Gran remembers when an omnibus was little more than a stagecoach, and no lady would sit up top for two very particular reasons. If people couldn't see up your skirt as you climb up the ladder, they surely would when you sat on the knife board. Number 14 and 15. The ladder on the back of the coach on the outside was later replaced by an open top staircase. And number 15, what does a knife board mean? So a knife board was a bench seat in the middle. She had a right giggle when she told me that. I still miss me gran. She was taken by the angels with consumption. What does consumption mean? Let's have a read. The name used in Victorian times for the disease tuberculosis or TB. At one stage, it was killing over 15,000 Londoners per year. It was only an hour's walk from the omnibus stop to the gates to Lytton House. So, working people were used to having to walk great distances. Few had horses, unless as a part of their work, and many never used public transport. I started off on pavement, so for that part, I managed to keep the hem of my dress almost clean. So Victorian roads were messy places with all those horses' hooves and horse manure. As I followed the road into the countryside, it became dustier and dirtier and harder underfoot. I don't really understand the country with all its green. I'm not sure of the point of it. What are we supposed to do with all the trees and grass and the like? Give me roads and pavements and houses any day. Then, there in front of me were the gates, just as I had had them described to me, with a huge stone gatepost either side. They was mighty grand, with a stone line atop each of the pillars. One of the great big stone poles resting on a stone wall, like a cannon ball. They reminded me of a giant version of the feet on Mrs. Berry's bath. Why does it say the giant feet on Mrs. Berry's bath? Let's have a read. So in the Victorian baths were made of cast iron. Forelegs were usually ornate, often the ball and claw feet design, a claw or paw grasping a ball. That is why it says the feet on Mrs. Barry's bath. So back in the Victorian age, bathtubs used to have big feet, like claws of a tiger or lion. The gates themselves were made from black railings, what looked like the spears being waved about in a picture I once saw in something called the boy's own paper. So what does the boy's own paper mean? Let's have a read. The Boy's Own Paper is a magazine for boys launched in 1879, designed to instill Christian moral values and full of supposedly heroic tales. Okay. Tommy showed it to me. Not that he can read proper neither, but he do like a good picture. They called illustrations if they're in a magazine, he says. The gates was unlocked, and I began my long walk up the gravel drive. Took me another half hour or so to reach the house. And what a house! Flowers don't describe it, it looks more like a palace. No, honest to God, Lytton House is incredible. That's the word, incredible. I've never seen nothing like it. It looks like it's been carved out of icing, like the stuff I saw on a wedding cake in the window of a big department store. So, number 21, let's read what it means. Dane is referring to stucco, painted plaster covering the brickwork. Okay. It's 4 or 5 floors high, depending on how you count them. There's a basement, a ground floor, an enormous front door reached up stone steps you'd expect outside a cathedral or something. A first floor, a second floor, and, tilting my head back, I could see that there were some windows up in the roof, what meant attic rooms too. To live and work in a place like that would be, well, I don't have no words to describe it. Suddenly I felt all wobbly, like Mrs. Hansard's aspic. So what does an aspic mean here? An aspic is a savory jelly made with meat stock, set in a jelly mold with pieces of meat in it. Overcome with nerves, like, who'd give me a job in a place like this? Of course, I didn't go marching up the stairs to the front door. That's not for the likes of me. I'd be thrown out of my hair before I'd even started. I go round the back and down some steps to a basement door, straight in my dress, black of course, and knocked the knocker. It was Mary what opened the door, and relief flooded through me as she gave me a wink and led me through the kitchen, full of hustle and bustle, past the servants' hall, to the housekeeper's room. She knocked on the door, and my voice the other side of it said, "Come in." She gave me a nod of encouragement, then scurried off down the corridor, sorry. Okay, we have finished reading for this session. So what I want you to do now is answer these two comprehension questions for me. So number one is, what vehicle did Jane travel in to Lytton House? And the answer to that question you will find on page 13. And number two is, what color dress did Jane wear to her interview? And for that question, you will find your answer on page 22. So pause the video right here, and you can rewind the video to look for your answers through the pages that we've just read. Please make sure you put your answers on Tapestry so I can have a look of how well you've listened to your class key text. Thank you very much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed reading with me. Bye.